Welcome back. We've now moved inside the new NCBA offices here in Washington, D.C., and with me now is Vice President of Government Affairs for NCBA, Colin Woodall. Colin, what a beautiful office you have here.
Well, thank you, Kevin. We're awfully proud of this. You know, it's interesting, our old office is being torn down. So if you look out the window right now, you see a whole lot of rubble. So we had to move. And so it was extremely important for us to find some place that fit our association, fit the image that we're trying to project, and more importantly, is comfortable for our members who come into town and also for our staff.
You've done a great job. In fact, let's take a look around. I love some of the artwork you have here, the beautiful boardroom that you all have created for meetings and so forth. There is no doubt when you walk into this office, this is a Cattlemen's office.
Well, what's extremely important is that image that we project. We want to make sure that everybody that gets off the elevator here can look and understand exactly who's in this suite. More importantly, when members of Congress show up for PAC events, senators, House members, that they understand that this is the home of the Cattlemen. We want to make it very clear. And I think we've done a pretty good job of making that happen.
You've done an outstanding job. Not only is it a beautiful boardroom, but I love that rooftop venue. That'll be a great place for some of the relationship building you do here in Washington, won't it?
Well, it will be, when you can have a view of the White House, the Capitol, the Washington Monument, and everywhere in between. We do believe it's going to be one of the prime spaces for fundraisers and all of the events that we do with House and Senate members. So we're excited to be able to break that in.
And speaking of relationship building, you've got a new administration, a new Congress coming in quickly. Tell us, what does that mean for cattle producers?
You know, this new administration is extremely important for us because we do believe it's going to bring a lot of regulatory relief. Over the past 8 years, we've talked about everything from waters in the United States to antibiotics to marketing rules that have all been pretty onerous to our industry. We do believe that the Trump administration will bring a lot of relief. And if we can just get waters in the United States alone taken care of, that would just remove a huge burden from us and also save us a lot of money because we won't have to move forward with our lawsuit, which could cost us, $1 million plus. So we are excited about those prospects.
And one thing that I hear a lot about is these markets, Colin. They've been disappointing and quite frankly a little confusing to many of us in the industry. Tell us what NCBA has done to get engaged in this issue and what are the next steps?
Well, one of the biggest things we have done is launch our NCBA CME working group to look at the volatility in the futures markets to try to find a way to manage that. We're also looking at mandatory price reporting through USDA to try to improve that process to make sure it's as transparent as possible and gives producers the information they need to make their marketing decisions. Probably one of the biggest things that we can do right now is move product. We're looking at supply and demand right now when we have more product in the market than we have seen in quite some time. We need to move it, and one of the best ways to do that is through trade. So that's why we are continuing to work to regain access into China and also to try to pass TPP.
And as you speak about trade, it's one of the issues we'd hoped to be addressed in the lame duck session. It doesn't look like it's going to be. What are some of the other priorities in this lame duck session for you and your staff? You know,
TPP's not dead yet. Even though a lot of people have already put it in the ground and have ordered the tombstone, we're not to that point. And the reason why is we have economic data today that shows that each day we don't have TPP, our industry, the U.S. cattle industry, is losing $400,000. When you look at the markets, the last thing we need is a $400,000 a day hit. And I think that economic story will help us just make sure that we stay alive in this discussion because we can't give up. If we give up, then we have lost all of our opportunities. But as you said, that's not the only thing we're looking at. We're also trying to make sure that we finish off the year with a very strong spending bill that would defund things like waters of the United States, also try to address the GIPSA rule, which has been a concern for us for quite some time. But probably one of our biggest issues is getting the National Defense Authorization Act done, which has some protections in there for us from the sage grouse and other Endangered Species Act listings. So that's going to be a very important thing for us to accomplish between now and Christmas.
So you've got a lot of work ahead in the next 6 weeks, don't you?
We do, but it's all about our continued effort to build relationships, not only with the Congress we have, but also with this new administration, the new Congress, knowing there's still a lot of opportunities ahead for us as we look at 2017.
You know, I've been so impressed by the people that we've had on the show that are part of your staff here in Washington, D.C. You've got such a talented team, Colin. And I guess the question that I would ask is, what do you tell our viewers about why it's so important to have a presence here in Washington, D.C.?
There are decisions made in this town every single day that have an impact on America's farmers and ranchers. The only way that we're going to be able to make sure that those decisions don't detract from what we're doing on the land or make it harder for us to be on the land is to be a part of that discussion. The only way you can do that is to have a full-time presence. So all of this staff that you have seen, they're on the Hill every day. They're working with the administration every day. They're working with foreign governments every day. We are engaged in this process. If you're not at the table, you're going to find yourself on the menu, as we have heard from a previous president of ours, J.D. Alexander. That's very true. We need to make sure that we are always at the table, and that's what we do here in Washington, D.C.
And one of the things we talk a lot about on this show is the importance of a state and national partnership in all this work. What's your read on that?
We can't do it alone. When you look at the 435 members of the House of Representatives and the 100 U.S. Senators, even though we have an expanded staff, that's still a lot of people to talk to. So it's very important that we have that state and national partnership to really leverage all of our grassroots members to ensure that people here in Washington, D.C. are not only hearing from us, but they're also hearing from the people that are going into the voting booth and voting for them. Hearing direct from their constituents has a lot of power. So that's why we need to make sure that that partnership is strong, remains strong, and we continue to grow it as well.
Well, Colin, on behalf of so many cattlemen all across the country, I want to thank you and the rest of your staff for representing our interest here in Washington, D.C., and wish you the best of luck as we move into this new administration.
Well, thank you, Kevin, and I'm glad you got to come see our new home.
I hope it's not the last time.
Absolutely.
Thank you.